Recently, I've become compelled to start rereading 10 to 20-year-old children's cat fiction books, and I physically cannot stop. So I'm going to be starting a series where I actually review these, and we're going to be starting out with Yellowfang's Secret. First off, Yellowfang's Secret revolves around one of my favorite characters from the entire franchise, at least up until this point, and she is literally the best character. For one, she's weird. Secondly, she's old. Third, she's Yellowfang. What is not to love about that combination? So I might be a bit biased about this book, but honestly, I'm not, because I have a few complaints about it. It was a good read, I did enjoy it, but we're going to get into the real nitty-gritty. Like most Super Editions, this one starts when Yellowfang is a literal child, which is pretty par for the course for most of these Super Editions, as I've noticed. It starts out with her growing up, becoming a warrior apprentice, eventually getting her warrior name, but eventually being forced into the medicine cat den due to a certain catalyst. And it follows her life up until the events of Into the Wild, where she eventually becomes exiled from Shao Clan and is forced to flee to Thunder Clan. Now, that doesn't sound too terribly interesting, and that's because I left out the main catalyst for Yellowfang's actual story arc. The reason she has all of her issues. The way they did it, the catalyst they used for all these events is just so stupid in my opinion. I don't understand it. Viewey, what do you have to say about this?
Red.
Now, the writers needed Yellowfang to not want to become a medicine cat for the plot point and the characterization and the Forbidden Child to make sense and be enjoyable. If Yellowfang just wanted to be a medicine cat innately, the entire plot point of her having a Forbidden Child would just be her saying fuck you to the rules she agreed to follow. Instead, she has to be coerced and forced into the role because that makes it more interesting as she's struggling between the life she wants to lead, the life she's dreamed of having a child and being a warrior, and the life she is now forced to follow, being a medicine cat. However, this catalyst could have been very interesting, but instead, it's literally so stupid. It's so stupid. The only reason Yellowfang is forced into becoming a medicine cat is because she's given this magical Star Clan power. And not only is this a retcon, it pissed me off while reading it, because instead of Yellowfang having any semblance of autonomy, Star Clan just decided, yeah, we gave you this magical power, and now you have to become a medicine cat. Fuck you, Yellowfang! And it's amazing, because it's stupid. It starts out with Yellowfang randomly having bouts of pain. It starts when she's a child, it goes on into her as she becomes an apprentice and a warrior. And these bouts of pain often happen at really bad times, and they just show that it would be really hard for Yellowfang to become a warrior with whatever's going on. And originally, I was really excited for this, because I knew whatever they were doing was going to be some form of retcon, because Yellowfang's never really shown to have anything like this in the main books, but I was excited to see where it went anyhow. I was wondering if it might be some form of like chronic pain or a condition or just something like that that would ultimately just give Yellowfang a bad hand in life and just force her into the medicine cat den, which, by the way, if you haven't noticed, happens a lot in these books. I think 90% of the time, the medicine cats, especially in the main character clans, because, in the other clans, it seems like they're fine, but in the main character clans, 90% of the medicine cats get that position because they have a condition that doesn't allow them to become a warrior, and the leader's like, you can't fight, go to the medicine cat den. You don't want to go to the medicine cat den? Well, fuck you, you're going there anyways. That's how it feels sometimes. However, Yellowfang doesn't have a chronic condition. Instead, she has that literal gift from Star Clan where she's able to feel the pain of other cats. So now, she's just encouraged to go to the medicine cat den because, well, Star Clan wants it to be that way, Yellowfang, and once again, it just pissed me off. The major driving force here is that Yellowfang really doesn't want to be a medicine cat, but the pain is just so much to bear that even though she just doesn't want to do that position as a medicine cat, she kind of has to because she can't really go in combat. She feels the pain of all the cats around her. However, after she finally caves in and becomes a medicine cat, within a very short period of time, Sage Whisker teaches her how to control the pain and not have to worry about it anymore. So all of a sudden, she could have just become a warrior. Sage Whisker could have taught her how to control the pain in the same way Sage Whisker taught her how to control the pain prior to becoming a It pisses me off, because she clearly can control the pain, but she just isn't told how to until she becomes a medicine cat, and she's like, well, I'm a medicine cat now, no going back. It's just so stupid. I don't like this power concept. I really don't. They could have done so much, but the power, it just doesn't land with me. It's my biggest pet peeve with this book. I just don't like the power. It didn't have to be there. They could have gone so many ways with this catalyst. I get it. Warrior Cats has done this cat's injured, they have to be a medicine cat thing a lot. I get it. But it just doesn't make any sense to me. I don't like this power. I think it should also be noted that this power is never mentioned anywhere else in any other book. Yellowfang just has it and can control it by the end of the book and never mentions it again. It just makes her an easy medicine cat candidate. It's not my thing. Besides this, however, the story's pretty good. Yellowfang ends up having kits with Ragged Pelt, despite being a medicine cat apprentice, and Ragged Pelt's really determined to convince Yellowfang to not become a medicine cat, but ultimately Yellowfang decides, yeah, I'm gonna be a medicine cat anyways, screw the warrior life. And this is interesting because it does show us someone who originally didn't want the role, was forced into it, ultimately deciding that, yeah, I accept this role, this is my life. However, she's still pregnant, she's still gonna have to deliver those kits, and Ragged Pelt isn't going to allow her to have much contact with their children, mainly because she's the medicine cat. She can't admit that those are her kids, and that's kind of how the entire story goes to shit, because Yellowfang's kit, Broken Kit, really needed a figure in his life that wasn't Ragged Pelt, and that is sad, and I do like that. It's tragic. I also really like the characterization in this book where medicine cats feel very distant from the rest of the clans. In newer books, like with Jay Feather, right? It feels like he's just an air warrior like everyone else. Nobody really treats him different. I mean, people treat him differently because he's a dick, but overall, he's just an air cat. But here it really does feel like the medicine cats are their own group that the clan just doesn't get along with as well and doesn't have the same connections with. And I think that's realistic. You have these shaman healers with celibacy vows, and they just aren't going to have the same levels of relationships as their friends who go out and do stuff all the time. I also did enjoy the overall emotions of Yellowfang as she had her litter and all the kits died except one. I don't like with Broken Kit how they made him out to be innately evil. They do that a lot with this character. Like his mini he literally has red eyes. Like, okay guys, I get it. He's evil. But they make it seem like Broken Kit is just some innately evil curse of a demon being and not just a cat who went awry, and I don't really like that. I feel like it could have been done a lot better, but ultimately, Broken Star is one of the worst, most evil characters in the entire franchise, so, you know, I guess it makes sense. From here on, the story is pretty good. This is the part where I really got into the book. It's mainly just Yellowfang watching in horror as the clan falls apart, as Broken Kit fast-tracks his way up the ranks, eventually killing his own father Ragged Pelt and framing on our clan to take the position as leader. And now we have Broken Star, and Broken Star starts making literal children fight to the death, and ends up exiling all the old people. Like, this guy is comedically evil. However, we push up onto the next big part that kind of peeves me. In the main series, in Into the Wild and those era books, Yellowfang is portrayed as this cat who was framed for killing kits. We don't know how this goes down, but it's an interesting plot point. However, we get more detail on how it goes down, and it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Bright Flower's kits go missing, Yellowfang goes out looking for them. As she goes out to find the kits, she smells fox scent, quickly tracks it down, and finds the mauled bodies of Bright Flower's kits. And what does she do? She tries to heal the kits. She goes over to them, and she tries to do her best, but they're far too gone. However, very quickly, Broken Star and a huge portion of the rest of the clan find her there, and Broken Star immediately frames her as the murderer, and the clan just goes with it? I get that Broken Star at this point is very intimidating, and cats that go against him often don't have great times in life, but even then, Broken Star just he just is able to just say, oh, Yellowfang, those kits, oh, you killed them, and everyone just believes him. Like, you're telling me that this cat, who has been a loyal Shadow Clan member, who has been raised in the clan, fought alongside them, has become a warrior, became their medicine cat, who has done nothing but heal and help them, shown no signs of doing anything bad, who has mentored another medicine cat, who is getting old, who's nearing retirement age, who's just never really offended anyone. I mean, at least done anything actively bad for the clan. The person who was actively against Broken Star, who was sending kits into training and battle, who was getting kits killed by the dozen. Oh, Yellowfang. Yeah, they're the one who killed these kids, not the literal child murderer by extension, not him, but Yellowfang, the person who opposes child murder. That's the person who would really be killing these kids. And it just makes no sense to me. And the only person who actually understands that Yellowfang clearly didn't kill the kids, because it's so fucking obvious, is fucking Running Nose, the other medicine cat. And I do get they are portraying the medicine cats as being separated from the clans. They are characters who the rest of the clans don't fully understand, but even then, it just doesn't make sense that they would turn immediately. I do like the way Broken Star does evict Yellowfang. It feels very manipulative and fun. Like, well, we have no real evidence that you killed these kids, but it's looking kind of suspicious, and I don't know how long I'll be able to keep the warriors from murdering you now. You probably should run. Like, I do think that's a fun way to exile her. You know, he's not... He understands there's no evidence. He's probably the one who killed the kids, let's be real. But it's interesting. I don't understand why the clan would turn on her, but it's not the most egregious part. I can understand to a certain extent, you know, Broken Star's done a lot of damage to the clan. Broken Star could probably say anything, half the clan would believe him. I mean, he has kicked out all the elders, who were the most sensible ones. Now he's kicking out the Medicine Cat, who's also fairly sensible. He's just trying to get rid of all the smart people. But overall, that's Yellowfang's secret in a nutshell. It's good. It's good. I did enjoy it. Just had a few issues of plot. Another thing I had an issue with is Yellowfang's characterization. I like Into the Wild Yellowfang. She's kind of crazy. For example, when she finds Firepaw, she's like, apprentice, easy prey for Yellowfang. Like, she speaks so weirdly. However, it's very jarring, because at the end of Yellowfang's secret, it immediately merges and retells the events of Into the Wild, and because it's a recreation with the exact dialogue, but just from Yellowfang's perspective, Yellowfang goes from this very sensible, normal cat with a tragic backstory to modern Yellowfang, who is kind of a bit crazy. And it's very interesting, but it also is very jarring, because it's like, wow, Yellowfang, you haven't talked like that your entire life. Why are you doing that right now? Why are you doing that? Which definitely is an issue of how they characterized her in the book. They definitely should have tried to make her a bit more like the Yellowfang we know, but ultimately it was still enjoyable. I know nothing about the internal structure of Aaron Hunter. I don't know who's writing what book, what team's doing what. I don't really know what's going on. All I know is if I'm giving this critique on a children's book, I could probably be doing something better with my time. So that's probably where we're going to wrap this up. I did notice that the Wikipedia page for Warrior Cats does have a massive page on all of the errors for this franchise, which is fun. And I decided to look at them for the specific book, and there's nothing really egregious. Most of them are just like, oh, that cat was supposed to be black, but the book called them gray. Or, that cat was actually made a warrior 1 week prior, but in this book, they call them apprentice. Which obviously is a continuity issue, but there's nothing really major. And there wasn't anything major in Yellowfang's secret. Admittedly, there is this concept of expansionism, where once you, if you have like an old character, an old mysterious character who's been around the clan since well before our main character was, and they know all this information, and Yellowfang can talk about like, well, back in my day, as the medicine cat of Shadow Clan, I've seen many bad diseases. I'm very smart, you know, I can be helpful. One time there was this bad disease, blah, 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 blah. And then we get a book detailing Yellowfang's entire life from start to finish, basically, if you include the air books that follow her life. All of a sudden, she's less mysterious, less cool, and the book leaves out a bunch of interesting information that she could have dealt with as the Shadow Clan medicine cat. It just doesn't explore it. She's kind of boring all of a sudden. She's just kind of less interesting, which can be the issue with this this concept. But anyways, overall, this book is definitely going in A tier. Currently, there's only A and B tier. Give me some suggestions on what tiers to add to the tier list next. Overall, I would read this book, but I would read at least the first main series before reading this book, and then keep in mind that despite this book being canon, you can take whatever you want away from it as canon, because guess what? Main series books don't mention her power, so if you don't want her to have that power, she doesn't have to have that power in your mind, and that's what I'm going to be doing because it pisses me off to think about it. Bye!